Alrighty, so technical drawings, easy peasy. Let's do this. We have got our little guy here. I've got no idea how big it is in Rhino because I've just followed some random tutorial on making this object. So now I need to make sure that it is to scale as I have been designing it in my sketchbook and thinking about my project. So I know that this is going to be 10 meters in length, and I can afford to be a little bit flexible. Maybe you can, maybe you cannot, but that depends on how we then go about measuring this. So we are going to use the scale tool, choose our object, and the base point, I'm going to use the right view in this case, and I want to make sure I choose over here. So about there, this looks reasonable to me, and I'm going to go all the way over to the right hand side. Let's go to there. I'm going to hold shift to make it constrain, click, and now I can type 10,000, so 10 meters. Got, so it's make 2D, third angle. I'll remove hidden lines for this object. Scene silhouette sounds good, and I'll make sure it's grouped. This can take a few moments per viewport. Cool. And there we go. So if I maximize that. So with it being a funky mesh, we are getting a few issues here that we will need to fix. And depending on your object, you'll be better off or worse than me in this instance. Let's just move that across. So it's been told that we can do the make 2D with hidden line. We actually get a few better results. But let's just see how that turns out, because it might actually give us less clarity than before. Okay, so it does create the outline, which I think is a little bit odd, but yeah, a little bit gross when it comes to the different views. Yeah, so quite clearly we do have a better output here. So that does mean that we've got a bit of cleanup, and we can use for this instance a bit of artistic license to re-bridge these lines. So they are quite straight in instances. So I'm using the is it interpolate curve? A couple of clicks. So it does seem to know the tangency of the curves. But you'll be here quite a while, I think, creating that. Where's that supposed to maybe drop down here? Yeah, for a form like this, it's more forgiving, as to where the lines really should be in this instance. For example. Okay, and you can do the same here as well. So not ideal, and again, a form like this, I'd rather not be doing it, don't get me wrong. But here we are with this requirement to create some drawings. So now I've got this, I can again go back into my drafting. I can choose all the different types of drawing styles. Let's see, maybe I'm going to get a few of these ready with the shift key. Drop it down a bit, select the object, drag it down. Okay, I don't mind about the history being broken, but what I've done is I've just dropped that below the object. Personally, I don't think that looks too bad. Something like this, we might drop it on there and then hover over the end to get the smart track. Click shift so it intersects, drag it out, and that way I know that I've got my overall height and width. It might be sufficient on my account, it might be the only thing we need to look at here. Or maybe we go in and we're thinking about these openings here. You know, what is it about your project that's relevant? Drop that in the same place. Okay, so we can see those. We've got dashed lines and dotted lines, so we can do line type, yep. So maybe I draw a line there. You know, we can do that if we wanted to. Copy that over. Copy from the base, whatever that's called, dimension. And then you could choose those objects, give it a different line type. Dot dash. And then the scale is probably way off there. Right click. Alright, so if we actually want to get our drawing to scale, I can do that with, so currently it's set to 1 to 1. We can go in there with the new page, new layout, paper space, just because of AutoCAD, PDF, A3 landscape, fantastic. And you can see I've now got my page, not too dissimilar to AutoCAD. I can go in, double click and roughly position. And this way I want this guy to be positioned here. Okay, so we've now got our drawing in here. We can double click and we can move around, scale. As you can see, I've got my viewport properties open, which is under standard, the kind of rainbow donut shape. And I can now click on there with me in the edit mode. I can set layout 1, 2 and choose an appropriate scale. So 50, 1 to 50 looks good. I'll double click out of that, so I'm moving the whole sheet around, and I can go to create a simple title block, just using the line tool. Just copy that line down. Doesn't even have to be this big, you know. I can then use text using the command text. Can give it stuff that I've already got in there. So the name of the project is Canopy. Okay, fantastic. Copy and paste that down. Double click. Scale is going to be 1 to 50 at A3. What information might you need? East elevation, yeah, so maybe the project name. In fact, I'll change that one. This is going to be an east elevation. And that's pretty much the only thing I need to do. I suppose maybe a title for the project. And then, yeah, so I can go in here, I can do the print. I can paper space layout, change the scale 1 to 1. Fantastic. I might need to actually draw that rectangle by the looks of it. Check everything else, landscape, vector output for the drawing, elevation export. Yeah, off we go. And then that should open up pretty nicely. Cool. You know, you can just export that view, especially if broken up. All right, so we've got clipping plane. And you can just draw that arbitrarily. And at the moment it's like slicing through my model. I can only see the little feet. Not ideal. I can rotate that around and navigate through my object, all these different points, and they don't even need to be visible. So I can hide the clipping plane, or I can like shove it out of the way whilst I do some screenshots, because yeah, I'm happy for you guys to explore and create your work using a screenshot. You can save that out and drop that on a drawing. We can go into our different views, and we don't have the clipping plane there, so let's go into rendered. Maybe we need to do a clipping plane again. Okay, and then you could probably do a shot there, like that, and drop that into any other kind of drawing program of your choice, maybe Illustrator, and play around. Again, if you've got your advanced display, you might change rendered from being 2 colors to be a solid color, and that can be white. And that way, that might be a bit more appropriate for your snips. Yeah, I think that looks pretty cool. Yeah, and you can do a a rough crop there, can't you? Or even just drag and drop, and it should actually look pretty reasonable, I think, on with a modern display. That's through. Good. Okay, now what happens if I do my dimension line with the vertex, because it's a mesh? Yeah, so that's actually on the right side of the clipping plane now, so you'll see that accordingly. Yeah, so I think that looks pretty cool, and I'm happy for you to do a screenshot of that with the clipping plane and the screenshot, or maybe we could even print that for you. Let's see, we could do so they've got the viewport. Let's do raster, and that will actually change that now to a higher resolution PDF as a with rasterization. So it's actually rendering it out. Cool, yeah, so that's actually a pretty high res, yeah, super high res. So I'd recommend exporting that out as a print raster. Oh, we've got some artifacts on here, hopefully that will disappear if, yeah, refresh, there we go. So those artifacts should go, and I think that actually does a combination of vector with raster objects. So yeah, probably a lot higher res than the screenshots we took as well. Cool.